So hello guys, so today I'm going to be talking a bit about the RAM crisis that has been plaguing RAM prices for the past few months by this point. Now, a lot of people are now kind of, questioning the viability of moving back to as far as DDR3 in their main systems just to avoid the insane prices of DDR4 and DDR5. And most people are talking about Haswell and LGA1150, but there is another option, which is also LGA2011 that I want to talk about a bit, because it can also be a pretty good option as well. Now, the main difference between these two is that LGA2011 is more of the workstation and more powerful processors, whereas LGA1150 was more the socket that was used on, just main PCs. It was just the main platform, LGA1150. 2011 was more the extra platform, the extra features and all sorts of stuff that I'll get into later. But I'll say the biggest problem with LGA1150 compared to any others, compared to LGA 2011, is the fact that your best CPU option really is a 4790K, and those things cannot handle modern GPUs. I did actually test a RX 6600 on this, on a 4790. It did not hold up very well. So you're probably more looking at something like an RX 580 with a 4790K. I would say that's probably the limit of a 4790K. I wouldn't go RX 6600 though. However, LGA 2011 chips, they use more power, but they're way more powerful because they're basically on the same nanometer as long as you go for the Ivy Bridge based chips. If we have a look here, you can see there's quite a few options of CPUs. We've even got the Sandy Bridge ones here for LGA 2011. And keep in mind, LGA 2011, you're not just like limited to core i7s that, like the i7, like the i7 3820 or 3930K. You can also put in any like a Xeon that supports it, and also even like newer generation Ivy Bridge based Xeon and i7 processors here for LGA 2011. I've found often that LGA 2011, they actually have a higher core count. You can go up to 6 or even 8 cores on LGA 2011, whereas LGA 1150 you're limited to 4 cores. And LGA 2011 also has quad channel memory. Here we can see with the X79 chipset, which is basically on every consumer LGA 2011 board, X79, you get quad channel DDR3, which is crazy. It's not the same as DDR4. However, it's a really good option considering the RAM prices, and DDR3 hasn't gone up that much. So if you manage to get like 4 8GB DDR3 sticks, you've got 32 gigs of quad channel memory. That's pretty good. And I'll say that probably a lot of these CPUs, just the Core i7 3970X or even a i7 4960X, are really good CPUs, because you can see here they've got 6 cores, 12 threads, 4 GHz boost clock. These are pretty good specs. 130 watts, yeah, but most modern CPUs are like that anyways. Your only problem would be finding coolers that actually support LGA 2011, but it shouldn't be that hard. I'm pretty sure you can also get adapters for LGA 2011 to put on just regular AIOs and whatever onto an LGA 2011 socket. They may not exist though, I'm not too sure about that. However, there is one big major problem with LGA 2011, and that's that the availability and the prices of these are quite a bit higher. Like for an LG 2011 board, CPU and RAM altogether, you're probably looking at like at least 100 USD or 150 Australian dollars. It's not that cheap. LG 1150, you'll probably be able to get it for a bit cheaper. I'm not sure by how much, but it'll probably be like by 1/3 of that, around that. And LGA 1150 is just more widespread, so parts are cheaper. There's more motherboards. You can see here there's way more chipsets, way more options. Whereas LGA 2011, that if you want to use DDR3, you're basically just limited to X79, and that's it. Although there are lots of great X79 boards, like the X79 Tough Sabertooth. That's like an incredible board. I actually have one of them, and they work amazingly. But yeah, that's just, that's just something I wanted to bring up because these RAM prices are pretty insane nowadays. And so I think that LGA 2011 is also potentially another good candidate to, support DDR3 while also having great performance. And I'd say also go 2011 if you need lots of CPU performance, because an i7-4790K is not that strong in CPU, especially in core count. Some games nowadays actually require 6 cores, like you see here, 6 cores. Here we also have a few CPUs, Xeon CPUs, LGA 2011s that are 8 cores, 20 megabytes of cache, pretty crazy specs. But again, it's just getting your hands on one of these. These CPUs are not cheap. An i7-3930K in Australia is probably going for like 50 Australian dollars or 60 because they're good, and that's the problem. So anyways, these are just kind of my thoughts, and tell me in the comments what you think about this situation, that we're in because of all the AI and the RAM prices going up. And I'll see you in the next video.